Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sports Countdown podcast with Peter Lynch and Declan Hughes. Before we get started, a big shout out to Freelance Football Ops, who source football media jobs on LinkedIn and Twitter. So, Pete, next week we've got the Europa League Final. It's going to be Man United. They'll be facing Villarreal and in Gdańsk, Poland on May 26th. So, we're all looking forward to will be an interesting game, I think. So first of all, Pete, I just wanted your thoughts on both teams' road to the final. How did you think both teams did to get to this point?
Well, obviously United joined the competition from the Champions League. Villarreal been there from the start. And looking back in the group stages, Villarreal, they were among the highest goal scorers there. They had 17 goals, conceded just 5. I would say that maybe they weren't tested all that much. Maccabi Tel Aviv, Sivasspor and Karabag, and even had a game cancelled because Karabag players tested positive for COVID. So that was a 3-1 win for them. That being said, I mean, it still gives you a lot of confidence and momentum if you go through your group stage undefeated. So, I mean, they still did pretty well. And then we saw United join in 4-0 against Sociedad in aggregate, 2-1 against AC Milan, 4-0 against Granada, and 8-5 against Roma. And then Villarreal, they had RB Salzburg, they beat 4-1, beat Dynamo Kiev 4-0. They beat Dinamo Zagreb 3-1, and then, as we all know, they beat Arsenal 2-1. Again, going back to like the statistical side of things, Villarreal conceded 3 goals in those games. United conceded 6. Make of that what you will. And Villarreal scored 13, and United scored 18. So yeah, definitely interesting. United, obviously, they played 2 Spanish sides already in Sociedad and Granada, and Villarreal played an English side in Arsenal. So I think it's, really finely poised going into the final. But, just to end that, what I would say is that I think United have had the tougher run given the caliber of teams that they faced, like Milan and Roma especially. So, yeah, I mean, they both did obviously really well to get to this stage, but United, I think, just edged it on more difficult games.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as like one-sided as I feel as though a lot of the English media portray any final when an English team's in it. I just think a lot of people will probably write off Villarreal really quickly, but we're going to get on to talk about the managers in a second. But there's plenty of experience in that squad, in the Villarreal squad, and then there's a lot of players that have played in England that have probably faced Man United before, or at least been involved in like a squad that's played them. So I wouldn't be so quick for a lot of people to maybe write off Villarreal, even though Man United are in, well, they were in good form. They've had a couple of rocky results, but they will be expected to win. But it'll be a finely poised match, I think, or I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the neutral, we kind of need it to be, especially after this season. Yeah, you touched on the managers there. Obviously, it's Ole Gunnar Solskjær against Unai Emery, who we know pretty well from his time at Arsenal. They've actually got pretty similar win percentages at their current clubs, and they've obviously come up against each other before in England. Emery, his previous in this competition, of course, he won 3 consecutive titles with Sevilla between 2013 to 2016. So, how would you assess him as a manager?
Yeah, I mean, I think he gets a lot of grief because he had a bad spell in Arsenal for the year that he was there. But I mean, you look at that squad now, like even Arteta, you'd say it's something very similar. Like I don't think Unai Emery has done any worse than what Arteta's done so far. So I think he gets unfair grief on that. I think he's a really good manager. He's proved it at every club he's been at. You talked about Sevilla winning it 3 times in a row. So he's a manager that's excelled in this competition. He knows how to win it. He's also been another final. He got Arsenal to the final in 2018-19 season. So he's got experience in this tournament. He was at PSG again. It's a tough job in PSG. We know how tough it is. They just won the Champions League, but again won the French Cup and won the League One there as well. So he's got a pedigree of winning trophies. So it's not fair to write him off and write this team off as we said. You also talked about he's been in England at Arsenal, so he's faced Man United before, so that'll give him a little bit of know-how of how maybe he wants to set up and how he can possibly play against this Man United team. So it wouldn't surprise me if Villarreal actually go out and lift the trophy. And I'll look it up as well. Unai Emery would become the most successful manager in Europa League / UEFA Cup history if he wins it. He's tied on 3 with Giovanni Trapattoni, who also won 3. I think that was at Juventus and maybe Inter Milan. He won 3 UEFA Cups. So I'm sure he wants to, for a personal point of view, to become the most successful manager in the tournament's history. So I think a little bit of respect on the man's name, and I'm backing him. I'm backing him to do a good job and hopefully come out with another trophy on Wednesday night.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely a great incentive to try and, reach that individual honour. But obviously, he'll be putting the team first, I think.
Yeah, and then I think he'll want to prove a point to like the English media and like fans that maybe gave him that tough time, just to prove that he's proved a point of beating his old side in the tournament already. So I'm sure he's got a lot of incentive, but obviously the club will come first, and they definitely have the squad, I think, to possibly win this tournament. But anyway, Pete Solskjær, one of your favourite managers in Premier League, I heard. Do you want to give us some insight on the job that Solskjær's done at United? Always at the wheel, ain't he? Well and truly now.
It's such a weird one. Like, it's just, I don't know how to describe it. It just seems like there's a lot of highs and then there's a lot of lows, to be honest. Like, it's just, I know a lot of United fans, they're just not convinced, and then some are convinced. So again, it's quite confusing. He claimed that they lost 6-1 to Spurs last October, I think it was. He claimed that was the worst day of his managerial career. But then again, like last season, he took them to 3 semi-finals. You know what I mean? Highs and lows just every week. The League Cup semi-final, FA Cup, and Europa League semi-final. But that said, that's the closest he's actually got to silverware. You talk about Emery being a serial winner. I know it's early days for Solskjær, but and to be fair, he does deserve a lot of credit. He's got United back into the top 4, back to winning ways for the most part. He's kind of the first manager to do that, since Alex Ferguson, obviously. He's brought in some top players, helped develop, plenty of young talent, and they seem to have settled on that 4-2-3-1 formation. What I would say is they aren't really Premier League challengers just yet, I feel. But this title could change, could change everything. The best silverware gives him a bit of credibility, and it maybe brings more talented players to the club. But I mean, kind of final point, if it is winning games and coming second, it's a good achievement. But I don't think he's the man to actually be there at the club, to be honest, to win them the league, winning the Champions League. Yeah. I just feel that, when you look at the likes of Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Thomas Tuchel, I mean, I feel like they have a really deep knowledge of the game and, an idea of how they want to play football and how they want their players to play. They're so immersed in the tactical side of things. They have a vision, I feel, for each and every game, how they want to go about that game. With United, with Solskjær, I feel it can be very hot and cold. I feel they rely on, I think it's fair to say how much they rely on Bruno Fernandes. He's obviously a world-class player, and it makes sense to build a team around him. But, whenever you need him to create a moment of magic every single game, or, he's come off the bench so many times this season when he's been rested, and he's the one who's winning them games, I think it's not a game plan really, and it's not sustainable over a long season.
No, definitely. There's a lot to improve, as you've kind of said, in the Man United team, if they want to become challengers. I think they're fine at goalkeeper. They've got a bit of dilemma going there right now. Hearing a lot of rumours about Dean Henderson possibly leaving.
Right.
I think fullbacks are good. Like we're going to talk about the players in a second, but they're still Wan-Bissaka's still got a lot. I think Wan-Bissaka defensively relies on his pace, and he dives in a lot. So I think there's improvement that needs to be done there, but a good foundation there. But centre backs, I think, is a real issue for Man United. I think they need to possibly improve there. They've got so much talent going forward and in the midfield. I don't feel as if they need to. They're fine scoring goals, like they're really they can create chances, but maybe they just need that deadly striker. And it looks like Cavani can be that for Man U, but
Mhm.
At his age, how long can you rely on him to do it at the top level? Would be my only really question about Edison Cavani, but no doubt he's world class.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like that's what I mean. The recruitment, I think, is pretty good at the club,
Yeah.
whether it's Solskjaer or someone else. But I'm sure he has a say in it. Cavani's going to stay for another year, and then he's brought up, like McTominay. You've, as a Scotland fan yourself, you've seen how
Yeah.
far he's come along. Greenwood as well is a really talented player, and they're getting game time. I'm not sure if Solskjaer is the right man to be leading those guys. But I mean, it is still early days, and he's been there a while. But I mean, compared to other managers, he's still pretty fresh in the
Who
game, I'd say.
who would you have in there then
In
as
where
a manager?
manager, it's a big question. I mean, obviously you have the likes of, I don't want to upset any fans of any clubs, but Ancelotti's obviously at Everton. I feel he belongs more at a United.
It's a good shout, actually. Really good shout.
Yeah, Pochettino, but he's obviously gone to PSG. I thought he was going to be a shoe-in to go to Old Trafford.
I think that was something. I mean, to be fair to Solskjaer, there was a point. Was it last season where it was really, really poor, and it was looking like it was inevitable that he would be gone. And
Mm-hmm.
to be fair to United, they stuck with him, and then he said a decent season this year. Getting Man U into second spot ahead of, you would assume a Liverpool would have been challenging for the league this season. So
Yeah.
they're ahead of Liverpool. They're ahead of a good resurgent Chelsea team. They're ahead of
Mm-hmm.
Leicester, who are
Yeah,
top
absolutely.
team. Spurs, Arsenal. They're ahead of a lot of teams there. So he's done a really good job there. But it was the same when Mourinho got United to second, and then that obviously didn't work. And that's a high caliber manager. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
with you that it's a tough job for Ollie to do it, but time will tell. I think he'll get another season or two possibly,
Yeah.
but United are craving success again to be the top team in English football. And
Mm-hmm.
a man like Ancelotti, you mentioned, he's won the Premier League before with Chelsea. He's been in Italy. He's done it in Italy. He's won the Champions League. He's a top manager, and I agree
Yeah.
with you. Like, how far can he take Everton? I know Everton have had a really good season, but if
Mm-hmm.
United ever came calling, I'm sure he probably couldn't resist the chance to go to Man U. So that's a really good shout.
Yeah.
But hopefully, you've not upset too many Evertonians there.
Yeah, we'll move on quickly.
Right, back to the game then. Back to the final. Have you got any key battles you think that will be obviously important into the outcome of this game?
Yep, absolutely. I picked out Gerard Moreno, striker for Villarreal, coming up against potentially Harry Maguire, but I would say first of all, Harry Maguire picked up an injury against Villa, so I'm not sure if he's doubtful right now, but he's not 100%. He's going to be starting. So, but whether it's Maguire, whether it's Lindelof, Bailly, Twanzebe, they don't want to be left one-on-one with Moreno. He'll play on that right side, so it's whoever's right side, like right striker. So whoever's playing left centre back for United is going to have a handful. He comes in on that left foot, cuts inside, and he knows where the net is. Really great header of the ball as well, strong, powerful. And unfortunately for United, he's enjoying his most prolific goal scoring season. He's been hitting the teens in recent years for goals, but this season he has 29 goals in 44 appearances. He has 23 in La Liga, second only to Lionel Messi, one more than Benzema, and he actually has a better goal conversion rate than both of those two. So yeah, definitely main man. He's actually hit 6 goals as well in the Europa League this season, so full of confidence. 10 assists as well. So I mean, in Europa League and the league, so he links up with his teammates, whether it's Carlos Bacca or Paco Alcacer, alongside him in that 4-4-2 they usually play. They're gonna link up together well. They'll play close together, pretty, like the goalposts width apart, as good strikers do. And I think United's defence are in for a tough evening. Also, then at the other end, the reverse end, I picked Edison Cavani against Pau Torres. Torres, modern centre half, comfortable on the ball. He has 7 caps for Spain, and I think he's kind of viewed as the heir to Sergio Ramos in that national team. He's actually been linked with a big money move to United. I think there's a few other clubs, maybe Napoli is also interested. And it's clear to see why. He can play out from the back. He's got pace as well. He can read the game. But Cavani can also read the game really well. He's obviously really experienced, 34 years of age, big game player, and he knows how to outsmart his opponents. And Torres is only 24 years old, so I think he's going to use all his wits. It's a tough shift up there on your own, but he's a man who can do that, and he can hold up the ball and bring in the likes of Rashford on the left or Fernandes behind him.
Just on Cavani, I think we can all see that his movement is just phenomenal. I think that's why, at his age, he's obviously just realised that if he can be in the right spot at the right time and make the right move, that he can still be prolific, and he's proved that this season. I've been really impressed with him.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even that the other day against Fulham, scoring that long range goal, it's just a class act. And I think above all else, he knows where the net is. You know what I mean? And just lastly, I think we have to mention Bruno, just against anyone really, whoever he comes up against. That's how talented he is. He's out, whoever's brave enough to mark him at the end of the day. It could be 2 or 3 on him. I guess it could be either Manu Trigueros or Danny Parejo. It just depends, who Emery decides to go with in there. But a few guys from England that we know all too well, Etienne Capoue or Coquelin from ex-Arsenal man, they're more defensive minded, so they actually could be brought in there just to sit on top of Fernandes and just don't let him be creative. But he's going to be playing in that hole behind Cavani, and they're going to want to stick as tight as possible to him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Capoue was a really good player at Watford. I'm surprised that's where he was when I looked up the teams, but that'll be a good battle, I think, in there. But we know Fernandes is just sheer quality,
Yeah,
sorry,
definitely.
Penaldes, sorry, as he's usually called now.
You can't call him that anymore. We're
right.
upsetting too many people.
I'm upsetting. Sorry, United fans. Right. Predictions then. Will we go for it? Pete, what do you think's going to happen next Wednesday, or this Wednesday, sorry? Is it going to be a United
win? What I would say first up is we got our FA Cup final predictions pretty badly wrong.
we did hope though. We had hope, and the hope was right.
Yeah. Well then, it could be the same this week. But I would say again, first up, Villarreal, actually, they have an extra day to prepare for the. I mean, I don't know how much that matters these days, but they actually take on Real Madrid on Saturday, I believe. But it kind of balances itself out because Wolves are coming up against United on Sunday, and I feel United have to play a complete reserve side. It would be crazy for Solskjær to pick anybody who he's going to start on Wednesday night. For me, I just, it's a nothing game, both sides playing for nothing. So I think that gives United more chance to prepare because Villarreal actually have European football on the line. They need to win, and also Madrid can still win the title there, I believe. So that's a really important game. Samuel Chukwueze and Juan Foyth, ex-Spurs man. Chukwueze, he's definitely out, which is a shame. He's a real talent. He has 5 assists in the Europa League down that right wing. Scored against Barca in the league recently. He's just 21 years old, and United could be missing Maguire, as I said. But with that in mind, and I think the whole season in mind, I think United just will be too strong at the end of the day. Pains me to say it as a Liverpool fan, but I think United are a Champions League club. So I think they'll come out on top.
Did you give a score prediction, Pete? We need a score.
After all that, all you needed was a score. I'll go. I mean, I said 2-1 last time to Chelsea, I believe. Maybe I'll just stick with my 2-1 and go 2-1 United.
2-1 Man U. Well, I'm just going to continue the trend of upsetting Man United fans, and I think Villarreal will prove that Spanish football is a really top end league with a lot of top players. So I want to go Villarreal 2-1. So we'll see what happens. That last week we both said Chelsea, so this week at least somebody's going to get a team right.
Yeah,
maybe not the score, but I'll go 2-1 Villarreal. So
we'll see.
We shall see. So top 3 this week. You ready for this? Do you want to tell the viewers what it is?
Yes. So for those who don't know, we just like to focus on the top 3, the current topic. This week, of course, it's a Europa League. So we thought we'd give our top 3 Europa League / UEFA Cup, as it was used to be called, goals of all time. So let's start at number 3 and we'll work our way down. So who gets your spot in third?
Don't know if it's top 3 goals of all time rather than just top 3 personal choices for me, because it's all Celtic and it's all around 2002 2004 season, back when we were in there. But before I start, I just like to say that for a lot of happy memories in this competition from my childhood, some great goals and performances against English teams. Really, we played Blackburn. I think that was maybe was it the group stage or last 16? We played them. It was Graham Souness that was there, and we won 2-0 down at Blackburn, and then obviously Larsson scored a double in the UEFA Cup final. I just want to give those 2 goals a shout out, but they were too hard for me to put in because I don't want to relive the horrible memories of losing that final. So those goals, and then even recently when we played Inter Milan, John Guidetti scored a great goal to tie it up, and Callum McGregor when we beat Zenit 1-0. So shout out to them. Some great memories of being at some of those later games as well. So really good competition. But number 3, I went with Alan Thompson versus Barcelona in 2004. Okay, a great performance from Celtic. We played them at Celtic Park. We won 1-0. So that set us up really nicely in the second leg. And I think that second leg was when we drew 0-0, and David Marshall, believe it or not, when he first came through at Celtic, just had the game of his life that day, and we actually went through. But that's even a Barcelona team that had Xavi in it, Victor Valdez, Puyol, a lot of good players in that team. The goal though, it was just a great knockdown header from Henrik Larsson, knocked it down, beat Carlos Puyol in the air to set up Alan Thompson, who just kind of hit it on the half volley back across the goal and slotted it past Victor Valdez. Great moment, great goal. Remember watching it in the house, just euphoria, beating a really strong Barcelona team. So that was another famous night at Celtic Park, and we beat again one of the best teams in Europe at the time, Barcelona. So that's my number 3. What about yourself?
I went with Radamel Falcao in the final 2011, Porto against Braga, Aviva Stadium in Dublin. Only goal of the game, simple. I mean, just whipped into the box. He made some space for himself, as all good strikers do, and he just curled in a header. I mean, it was a pretty amazing header, to be honest. And I mean, I'm more a fan of him more than anything than the goal.
Yeah.
You know, just a really iconic striker. He scored 17 goals in the Europa League in that season. It's the most anybody scored in a single campaign. So, yeah, that would be my number 3.
Do you know who's got the most goals though in Europa League history / UEFA Cup history?
I feel like it must be Henrik Larsson.
It is Henrik Larsson. And let's talk about one of his goals then at number 2 then for me, shall we?
Perfect.
So my number 2 is Henrik Larsson versus Boavista in 2003. So that was the semi-final, and that was the goal that sent Celtic to the final in Seville. Again, remember watching this goal. Larsson just drives forward with the ball. Then he tries to set up. John Hartson plays it to his right. And then the Boavista, I think 2 Boavista defenders try to slide in to clear it from Hartson. It just falls to Larsson perfectly in the box, and then the rest's history. Larsson's he's never missing inside the box. Just kind of lobs it over the goalkeeper near the end of the game. Just scenes at the end. It just cuts to Martin O'Neill just doing his classic space hopper, jump up and down at a touchline. Just crazy. That kit as well, that yellow kit with the NTL on it, just a classic kit that I had as a child. And I just remember the scenes in the house with me and my dad just celebrating. Just a great moment, something I'll never forget. Amazing. So amazing. And then I don't want to talk about the final, but he also scored some great goals there. So sad in the end, but a great journey there. So
class.
One for yourself. Your number 2.
Number 2, speaking of icons, my number 2 is Clint Dempsey for Fulham against Juventus.
Wow, nice.
I think it was round of 16, 2010. I mean, Fulham, I think we're already 3-1 up maybe on the night. Dempsey had the ball at the edge of the box, and I don't even know if he looked up, but he just dinked it. Ridiculous chip. It's 20 yards out, like, and it was just, I don't think anybody in the stadium saw it coming. I don't think anyone on the pitch saw it coming. And it makes it more special that they actually made it to the final. They lost to Atletico in the end, but I mean, that team, just the likes, Bobby Zamora, Mark Schwarzer, Zoltan Gira, Aaron Hughes, captain, and Roy Hodgson.
Was Koscielny in there as well at fullback?
Oh, I'm not
was
sure.
Was he the left back? And then they went to Liverpool?
Yeah,
I think he did. I think that might be true.
Roy Hodgson in the dugout. And he's obviously moving on from Palace at the end of the season. So wish him all the best. But yeah, that was a great goal. I remember it well.
Absolutely. I think I had a bet on actually that Fulham would have won the Europa League. And obviously they just kind of fell short at the end there. So a great win.
It was Diego Forlan who put out Liverpool that season and then went on to break Fulham hearts. I think that was extra time as well. So some achievement for Fulham, but
absolutely.
Yeah, they did well. But now we get to number one, moment of truth.
Yep, number one. You'll enjoy this one, Pete. I think as a Liverpool fan. So I went with John Hartson's goal versus Liverpool, 2003 at Anfield, the quarterfinals. 1-1 the game was from Celtic Park. I think your man Heskey scored for Liverpool that day at Celtic. So 1-1, obviously Liverpool's got the advantage. Again, like Michael Owen's in there, Steven Gerrard, young Stevie G's in there, but a lot of class players in that team as well for Liverpool. But the goal, obviously Alan Thompson put us ahead with a free kick. He put it under the wall in the first half, but then Hartson just a little 1-2 with Henrik Larsson on the edge of the box. Just like shuffles it. I could just talk you through it. Shuffles inside, just skips past the defender and just launches one, just a rocket into the top corner. Just a phenomenal goal. And then to beat, again, it's always good when you have these Battle of Britons when it's Scotland v England. It's always nice for the Scottish team to come out on top. But again, just a phenomenal moment. And my favourite part, actually rewatching it just there, just to get my memory refreshed. It was, I don't know who the commentator was, but obviously English. And he goes, just Hartson hits it. And then he just goes in the most somber voice I've ever heard. It's just like, and surely Celtic are in the semi-final now. That's the way he said it. Like it was like he was just so depressed. I was like, see if Gerrard had done that night and just launched one at the top corner, that he'd have been ecstatic. So that was just something I was like, just inject that commentator's voice into my veins, just listening to that again. Love it. That just made that was what was doubly special. That rehearing that again, Scottish club knocking an English club. We done it twice that season, knocked them out a European competition. So very special moment for me, that one, and that will definitely live with me for a long time. So will we move on to your number one, Pete? Is this going to be a Liverpool goal?
Special moments. Good. Yeah, I mean, you just bashed Liverpool there, so I need to get them back up again. It's Dejan Lovren, that header against Borussia Dortmund, quarterfinal 2016. 91st minute of the game, you need a hero. Just you wouldn't think Lovren would be the man. You have the main Daniel Sturridge in there, a lot of other talented players. And James Milner did extremely well keeping the ball in, and he just floated it into the box, and Big Lovren just climbed highest and powered his header home. We went on to lose the final, of course, but I mean, it was just the nature of the comeback. I'd say, Liverpool obviously have a lot of amazing comebacks, but I'd say that's one of the best that Anfield has ever seen. So yeah, great moment.
Absolutely. Like, I remember watching that game in the house as well, and I mean, was it Royce that scored right at the start of the game? I think at Anfield,
yeah,
made
Royce, it that. Aubameyang as well on the score sheet.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, some talented players there. So it was a great win.
Absolutely, great comeback. Absolutely love it. And don't bash Liverpool, Pete. Liverpool's my I say support. Is support the right word? Or I follow Liverpool. I follow Liverpool. Yeah. I say that. I don't support them. I follow them. Okay, so just that goal, just the 2 goals or 3 goals all in. Henrik scored as well at Celtic Park that day. So
yeah,
good times, eh?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we've got time for today anyway. So, Pete, thank you for giving us your insight and your extensive knowledge of Manchester United.
Yeah, pleasure. Maybe I'm a secret fan. Who knows?
A closet United fan, would love to see it. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much for listening to us. Again, we really support we really love the support that you guys are showing us. If you don't follow us already, you can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So make sure you do that. Again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you all again next week. Take care.